What do you do when you don't want to do nothing? Welcome to the Ministry Leader Tool Bucket. I'm Aaron Winowiski, the pastor of New Day Christian Church, and I have done Sunday morning sermons, over 600 times. And do you think that every time a Sunday came around, I was just raring to go? Do you think that every time a Monday came around, I was thinking, I've got the perfect plan for what I'm going to teach about coming up. I've got a 6-month calendar all set, and I'm good to go, and I'm feeling refreshed and filled up. No, of course not. Of course, there are days where I do not want to get up in front of people and teach. Yes, there are weeks where I have a writer's block, and it seems like nothing is coming to my mind. Nothing's coming to my heart. I'm just dry. There are months where there are things going on in my life, in my family, where I am emotionally exhausted, and I just don't know if the bucket is going to reach deep enough to find anything that's left. Yes. And yet I am given this responsibility by God to bring something to people. You've been given a responsibility by God. It may be different. I don't know what your responsibility looks like. However, I know that you're part of a priesthood of believers, that you are a ministry saint, that God has planned good works for you to do. And there are some days you're not going to feel like doing it. So for me, when I run into those days, how do I handle it? And if you have ideas about how you handle it, please share them in the comments below. Let's get some things moving around here, get some ideas churning. Let's help each other out. For me personally, there are two important things that I always need to come back to. Two places that I need to go when I'm feeling like I don't want to do nothing. And the first place is conviction. Sometimes I wonder, is what I'm doing, is it really making a difference? Is what I'm doing really based in reality? Now, I know this makes some people nervous that a pastor is talking about this. Let me be honest with you, though. There are times where I have doubts. Doubts about what? What could have... Everything. Sometimes I have doubts about everything. So I've had to come back to that point of conviction. Like, if I'm doubting everything, what is it that convinced me in the first place? What is the place that I go? And you might have a different place. I'll tell you how my process goes, though, and what it looks like for me. I start with this phrase: something happened 2,000 years ago. We can agree on that. Something happened 2,000 years ago. And it was the difference between BC and AD. It was a world-changing event. Something happened 2,000 years ago that has led to billions of people being believers in Jesus Christ. Something happened. And when we look at the evidence, we can see there was a man named Jesus who walked this earth, who did things amazing enough that he gathered followers and he got a lot of attention. In fact, he got so much attention that he was crucified for what he was doing at that time. These are things that historians generally agree upon. And when I say generally agree upon, I mean only fringe people go, no, there wasn't a real person named Jesus. That's only on the fringe. Historians generally agree there was a man named Jesus. He did live an influential life. He was crucified. And then historians also generally agree that people after the crucifixion of Jesus went around and talked about him being resurrected. They had that conviction, and they gained followers, and thousands of people, even under persecution, were maintaining that that was true, that Jesus was resurrected. And at that point, you've got to make a decision. What do you think that was about? Were they wrong, or were they right? And I would look at them and say they didn't have anything to gain by lying about it. They were martyred. They were killed for their convictions. So something happened 2,000 years ago, and it seems to me that the best explanation for what happened is that Jesus lived, he influenced people, he died on a cross, and he rose again. And if a man rose again, rose from the dead, who claimed to be the Son of God, then I need to pay attention to that because it has implications for my eternity. Is this life nothing more than what can be measured and reproduced scientifically, or is there something more? And if Jesus rose from the dead, there is something more. That is my conviction. That's what I've got to come back to. And then if Jesus rose from the dead and he claimed to be the Son of God, and that shows that he has the authority to claim that, then I've got to look at what did he say? What does he tell me about life? What did he take seriously? And I've got to take those things seriously too. So when I start to have doubts about, what about the creation of the world, and what about those places in the Old Testament where people are killed by the tens of thousands by God's people? I could just say I can't accept that, and I could throw it away, except that Jesus accepts that. So I've got to take it seriously. So anytime I start to run into doubts, I've got to come back to conviction. That's number one, conviction. The second thing I've got to come back to is my call. First conviction, and then my call. Years ago, I'm not even going to try to count the years, I was watching a show, a Frontline program on TV about genocide in Rwanda, and it was something that I had been ignorant of. And as I watched, I thought, what can I do? What can I pour my life into that could prevent tragedies, travesties, terrible horrors happening in the world around me, in my own neighborhood? What can I do to prevent that kind of thing? And I thought, laws, boy, they had laws in places where terrible things have happened. Laws and government sometimes have been part of it. Even the church sometimes has been part of it. Those things don't keep horrors from happening. And I thought, what does affect the human heart? And I thought only God has the authority and the ability to do that. And as I realized that, I thought the most important thing I can do, the way I can pour my life out, is to pour my life into something that allows people to open their hearts to God's lead in their life. And if they do that, their hearts are going to be transformed. And then I'll be putting my life into something that makes a real difference, because hearts that are transformed by God, hearts that are open to Jesus Christ, hearts that say, I want to love the Lord my God with all my heart, soul, mind, and strength, and love my neighbor as myself, they're not going to commit those kinds of horrors if they're truly following Jesus. So I thought, I'm going to pour myself out to that. What is your call? And I thought, as I do that, as God calls me, he's going to equip me. So even in dry times, I just need to move forward, and I need to hold on to the fact that he has called me to this. And as he calls me, he'll equip me. So I want to challenge you to think, what is your conviction? Where do you go to when you have doubts? What's that platform that you stand on, that you come back to? And what is your call? What are you fully convinced that you prayerfully went into, that God has called you to and said, this is what I have for your life. These are the good deeds that I have planned for you. And as I have called you, I will equip you. What is that for you? And as you establish those things, you'll be able to walk that just one step forward. Just that next step. I have a friend and a mentor who said, don't quit while you're feeling frustrated. Stay with it until it's fun again. So those are the things that keep me moving forward until it's fun again. What about you? Share in the comments section. Make sure to push all these buttons around here, 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 and here. Thank you so much for tuning into the Leadership Tool Bucket. Now, go forth and lead.